Gavel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Voted.
thank you. All right, Ms. Johnson, you're first up, I think.
Yep.
All right. So, the first item on the agenda is the ordinance update for the Public Records Code. This is the update that is just before our new software goes live. If you guys remember at the beginning of the fiscal year, we requested to be able to purchase some software to help us process our public records requests. Current code does not take into account the number of requests that we receive. It doesn't take into account the number of the hours, the amount of staff time it takes to process, review, research public records prior to their release. And this update generally is just for us to be able to update our code to reflect the state law, federal law, and all of our procedures. You all have a copy of the proposed ordinance in your packets. Some of the things that you'll see is the change of dollar amounts for some things. For example, one thing is you get currently you get the first 10 pages of any copies that we have to make for you guys, or our citizens that request them for free, and then after that it's 25 cents a page. We're asking to change it to you get the first 20 pages for free, and then after that it's 10 cents a page. One of the other things that you'll see is that currently it's $35 for a CD, USB, flash drive, that kind of stuff for us to respond to you. We're going to change that to $10. One of the other larger items that you guys are going to see is that right now in city code, we do not charge for the first hour of staff time for your request. After that, after that first hour, we're charging whatever the hourly rate is for the employees involved in the public records request, times the amount of hours that it takes minus that first hour. That doesn't address all of our frequent flyers that we get that put in a ton of public records requests a year. So we may get one requester put in 16 different public records requests. That first hour of staff time will be free regardless of the number of requests that you get. This new update will address that, and after the first 5 public records requests, of course that first hour is free. That 6th one that you submit within a calendar year or within a fiscal year, October to October, that 6th request that you put in will start charging for your first hour of staff time. That's just a way for us to be able to really take the time to reimburse the city, or try to reimburse the city for the amount of staff time that we put in for public records requests. After kind of crunching some numbers with Lily, we've done since the beginning of this fiscal year in October, from October 1 to July 1st, my office alone has handled 700 public records requests. This does not take into account all of the fun public records requests that public safety has to deal with. I know, yes. The police department has their own records division. They get so many more. Eventually, once we go live with our public records request software, we'll try to work with them to help them process their requests a little faster. Same thing with the fire department. This is just trying to address the requests that come through my office that we have to process for all of our non-public safety requests.
Thank you, Brandon. Any questions on that?
No, I met with her yesterday and great job.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion to accept.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, Council, this is a request to update Section 19-261 of Municipal Code. So when we hire an employee into the city, or when a current employee is promoted, they go back to a probationary status. So currently, the way code reads, if an employee is reclassified into a position, so for example, we have senior job classifications in several of our positions, and we reclassify an employee. Well, many times that may come with some additional responsibilities, and also it comes with a 6% increase. But the way it sits today, there's no new probationary status. And so we're asking to revise that. So there is a new probationary status when someone's reclassified. And it's really the same. It's very similar to when somebody is promoted and goes through a hiring process and is promoted.
Is it the same as when they were originally hired?
The probationary, yes, it would be the same probationary period.
Go ahead.
So if I get hired to be a police officer, just using that, and then I went up to a new classification, then I become on a probationary period, even though I've served you well for so long a period of time?
Yes, sir.
Can you give me, what is the intent for that?
But that exists, so if someone goes from, you're saying like if they go from an officer to a sergeant.
Yeah.
Because they're assuming additional duties and additional responsibilities. So yes, it's like they're working in a new position. So that's why they would go on a new probationary status.
I frankly, man, I understand what you're saying, but having been a city employee in the past, at the police department, we had some promotions and they just didn't work out, but there wasn't anything you could do about it. There just wasn't anything you could do about it, other than,
Oh, I see.
let them go.
And in those instances, and it could be, there are times, and this doesn't happen often,
Okay.
but there are times where you may have someone, and in their previous position, they may have been doing an excellent job, but this new position may just not be working. So in those instances, especially when they've been an employee for a while, and what I mean is, we may assist them with applying for another position that's vacant, or if their old position is still open, there may be times they can go back into that old position.
And again, this is not gonna happen daily.
No, this is not, it's not often.
All right. Any other questions?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
So, the next, I think it's items 3 through 12 are regarding regarding job classifications. I just want to say we've worked with Ms. Standridge's team. We've gone through the finance process to make sure these items are covered by the budget. There are no new FTEs. So I just wanted to let everybody know, there's no new FTEs. It's covered through the budget. And I'll let Craig talk about this.
This item is to upgrade the tree trimmer position to more align us with what other entities around us are paying. We've had 4 positions open for 6 or 7 months now. We filled one back in December. We put a recommendation in for another last week. We still have 2 vacancies. We're not getting qualified applicants in this position for the $3 or $4 less an hour than what we're paying in the people around us. So we're looking to do that, and like LaShonda said, this would be no new additional FTEs and be covered under salary savings for this year.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Day, you've got several here.
So I guess it was about a month ago, we brought before you several classifications that were in arts and entertainment. And we mentioned at the time that we were going to do a revamp on many of the job classifications. For city venues, operations manager, it was a one-size-fits-all for the AMP, for the River Market. For special events, for the amphitheater. What's the one? River Market. Okay, Gateway, that's it. So we're adopting job classifications that specify the duties for each of those positions. So that's what this is about. In addition, the box office manager, thank you so much. You all allowed us to adopt an assistant box office manager position. This is a request just to revise the box office manager job classification and to upgrade it 1 grade. And I'm talking because Kay asked me to talk and she's here to support. But of course.
Y'all have any questions about this, or all of these are really, the
Let's make a
next
motion.
few are the same, right?
Yes.
Can, Brandy, is it okay, and how do y'all feel? Can we just go through these and very quickly and go through them, or y'all need to discuss all of them?
We don't need to discuss.
All right.
Just run them.
Number 4, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, do we have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 6,
Motion.
Second.
number 7.
No, aye. We need to vote.
Oh, we got to vote, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 7.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 8,
Motion. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 9,
Make a motion. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, this was the place to put that executive retirement plan.
Number 10. All right, Mayor, hold it down. Number 10,
Make a motion. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 11,
Motion. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 12 is different. Brenda, come talk to us. You gotta convince us.
Brendan, you gonna get a yes?
Catching up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. As
How about
LaShonda
no?
pointed out at the beginning, this position is not creating a new FTE, and it is also currently budgeted. We have an employee in our office that probably for the last 4 to 6 months has been working somewhat out of their job classification. LaShonda and I have been reviewing it, looking at what is the most appropriate fit organizationally and also from a job description standpoint. And Director of Strategic Initiatives is what fits. Just to highlight 3 things that I think are extremely important for what's been implemented. 311 real-time dashboard and working with Portia. 311 real-time dashboard. So that is when one of your constituents enters it in, it automatically goes into our system in real time, creates an accountability tracker, also workflows for any of the response departments. That did not exist 6 months ago. So from an efficiency and accountability standpoint, it's truly impressive. The other thing, which this is one Councilor Busby, you inquired on, that should be, well, I'd say probably within the next 3 or 4 weeks, live, is an HR dashboard. Exit interview information, information related to what positions are open, vacant, why people are leaving, all the data and statistical analysis. That is actually in process, and that is being done currently and should be live, I would say, probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's in kind of a beta phase right now. The last one right now, I just want to highlight for interest of time. I always love it when our employees can cover their own salary. Within the last 6 weeks, Ms. Blank, who's going to be hopefully in this position, has identified a minimum of over $100,000 of revenue increase in environmental services. And that's just initially. I think that number is going to grow to 2 to 3 times that by the time we get to the year. Yes, sir. The other thing, too, which Councilor Wilson actually worked with us this morning on the zone initiative,
That's
the
right.
base foundation for that initiative to come up with what those issues were, how they were identified, and how to deploy resources is also the same employee that did that. So all of that this morning was related to their hard work and kind of turned it over to Dr. Derry and his team.
That's
So
right.
this is over a 4 to 6 month proven track record. In this situation, if this were not to get approved, I would have to dial back the employee's work, just to be quite honest, because we've kind of sailed past our
I'll make a
traditional job
motion.
description.
Second.
So,
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
and we'll get you in touch on the HR dashboard and some of the other elements as we move forward.
Tell him we really appreciate that
It's
$100,000.
Jayla, who you may have met, but yeah, she's absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
So.
her, okay, either way.
But we'll get you plugged into that.
Right.
This is something I think you would recommend, so I want to make sure we get you taken care of on that.
And Mr. Bell, I do want to mention Jayla's close to having her doctorate.
Ah,
And so she has done fantastic work for us, and the ability to keep her means a lot to our organization.
well, I'm thrilled to death to hear about
Appreciate
this.
your support of this.
I really am. All right, next, Counselor Wilson, you wanted to discuss some procedures.
Yes, sir.
A procedure.
I wanted to discuss the resolution amending rules of procedure for conducting city council meetings, OCA-23077. And I wanted to bring that up because I want us to be able to know the difference between the executive branch, the legislative branch, and how we operate as a council. And I thought it was very necessary to bring that up because transparency is the bedrock of our good representative government. And in the decisions that we make, I want them to be made by us as a council. Unilateral power is not best in the interest of a representative government. And agenda items should never be removed or dismissed by one person unilaterally. I think that a majority decision should, on items that come across our desk, that we should be able to discuss them together. And I wanted to bring that up as a council.
Thank you. Any other
Yes, sir.
comments about this? Okay, well, all right. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Next, we have the one that all of our folks are here for, and we appreciate that. And that's me. I've got my name down there, don't I? Okay, I was looking to see who was leading this. But what we're gonna do for all of y'all, just so we understand, I'm gonna make an opening statement, and then our committee and our counselors and the mayor will have an opportunity to speak, and then we have two of your representatives, Brandon and Tripp, is that what?
It's Tripp and Mike.
Okay, Tripp, I'm sorry, okay. We'll give them 3 minutes each, and we'll be glad to hear what you have to say. And that's gonna be all we have. It's not really a public forum. And so, we're not gonna vote on anything today. We're just gonna discuss it, and we won't be voting on anything to do with this tonight. I think there might have been a misunderstanding about some of this, but I have a statement, and at some point, we've got a slide we want to put up here that was used earlier. But I just want to say that we're here today to discuss what I think is one of the most important issues we're facing in Tuscaloosa. The issue of public safety affects each person that lives or visits our city. We've seen the reports of what law enforcement is facing across our city, and particularly around the university area and the downtown entertainment district. Putting a police officer on every corner will not fix this problem. While I appreciate the many responsible owners of alcohol establishments on the Strip and downtown, the problem continues to grow. It's been said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. To change the culture of these areas and our town, we must do something significant to change this problem. With so many resources assigned to the Strip area, the rest of Tuscaloosa is not getting its share of police resources. We must do something significant. I am advocating closing establishments that are selling alcohol, whether bars, gastropubs, or restaurants, at midnight, Monday through Thursday, and 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, and possibly 1 hour later on game day weekends. This may seem radical to the bar owners, but we must do something different if we are to make a positive change for our city. I dare say the vast number of residents in Tuscaloosa, this is reasonable, not radical. This is about all of Tuscaloosa and not just a few blocks. We can't wait on another life lost or people injured in some manner. We must do something to change the direction we have been going. Thank you. The committee, do y'all have any comments on this at all?
I'd rather hear from them first and then.
You want to do it that way?
I would rather.
Okay.
Doesn't
You
matter.
two guys take your time and then we'll come back.
Hey, I'm Tripp Rogers. We own Innisfree Irish Pub on University Boulevard. I just wanted to touch on a few important points that we came up with as a group. Not to spend a long time up here and keep it with under 3 minutes for y'all. Our biggest thing, people look at it as 2 hours, doesn't seem like a long time, but when you add up 2 hours over the course of a year, it's upwards of 26 days of a business and up to 40 days if people include some of the days that they give their employees off or holidays or what have you. And that's a lot of hours to make up, and it's a lot of money. We took from 4 places the revenues in a 2 hour period over the course of a year between those 4 places was between $2.8 to $3 million in revenues. And if you look at that in taxes to the city, that can be in excess of about $300,000 that the city is losing out on. And that's a lot of money considering that, every penny counts, especially coming into the city. And this year is also been a year where we're still recovering from COVID. I mean, we spent over, almost 2 years with COVID restrictions, and it was tough on a lot of people, especially in our industry. We were probably the hardest hit of all the industries, and it hasn't been easy to recover from. We were very fortunate in Tuscaloosa. I think we're much more fortunate than other cities, but we did suffer. and it has been a long road to recovery. And this year, as we're already, in almost in our 8th month of the year, we have a lot of places that have already planned out their financial responsibilities for the whole year, with the hiring of musicians, different artist acts that come in, especially during this football season, as we know, and we've all talked about it at different meetings. This football season is going to be a big football season for this city. We have some games where people are going to be coming in from around the country, which not a lot of places can say. And, obviously we want to put on a great show for them when they come into this city. And we've planned out all fall what it's going to take. And, we've already made financial responsibilities to people that have come in. And the last thing I just want to touch on is the people in our industry. As we said during COVID, we got hit hard. And coming back to work, it's been a hard time. And you can ask anyone in here, finding people to work in our industry has not been easy. And it hasn't gotten any easier in our city, and around the country for that matter. And, we have a lot of people, a lot of places that don't stay open till 2 o'clock in the morning. They'll close at 11 o'clock. And there are a lot of employees in our city that would like to go out and hang out for a little bit. And changing the hours does affect what those people can do and enjoy. I mean, they work long hours and they want to be able to go out and have a good time. And also when changing the operating hours, you have to look at the effect that we will have to lay off people. And 90% of our workforce, just for us and just about everybody else that works in Tuscaloosa, is college kids. And these college kids are paying their way through school. And as we know, the University of Alabama hadn't gotten any cheaper over the years. And that's a big factor.
Indeed.
And they spend a lot of money. They work long hours to make money to get through college. I mean, they're paying rent, they're paying tuition. And those are the few things I wanted to touch on. I think those are very important factors. Obviously, we can stay up here and talk for hours, but I just wanted to give you, I felt like those are our 5 big factors.
Thanks, y'all.
Where you at?
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Musgrove. This hits me in 2 different ways. I'm a landlord. I own Red Elephant Rentals. Also, I'm an investor in the Rabbit Hole, which is down on the Strip, which is we're more or less a restaurant. And at 12 o'clock, our numbers go down substantially. So it's not going to affect us as bad as it will some of the others. But as a landlord, it's really going to hurt me. I don't know if you guys know what this is. Lee, do you know what this is?
I don't know what it is, but it's all over my district.
These are called whippets, okay? And whippets are my biggest indicator as a landlord where the parties are, okay? During COVID, these things went up significantly. I'm saying by tenfold. My staff is picking them up every single day. You can find where the parties are by where the whippets are. Whippets are nitrous oxide, which is laughing gas. But when you go to a dentist, you have oxygen that's being put in them. This is straight nitrous oxide, which gives them kind of a giddy feeling or whatever.
And how do you get it in?
They usually stick it in a balloon and put it in a balloon, and then they step it.
How do they
I believe
empty that
this
into a
way.
balloon?
I don't even know. I don't know how these things work. Never done it.
Can we get
No, I'm not gonna show it. But if y'all, I am gonna send you guys some pictures, whether it's email or through text, and show y'all some pretty scary stuff that goes on my properties at nighttime. This will substantially hurt me as a landlord, especially in the Forest Lake area. That turns into a partyville, which I've talked with the association, and they're against this because of the parties. But anyway. I had that as part as a landlord, but I also wanted to get into kind of a funny story. This kind of reminds me about feral cats. In Forest Lake, as landlords, we had a terrible, terrible problem with feral cats. They're everywhere. And we started, like my staff and my guys started getting cages. And we had like 5 or 6 of these cages, and we're catching 5 or 6 a day. And we're like calling the city, hey, we got a huge problem in Forest Lake. Can you get rid of these feral cats? And they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do something. Never did anything. My guys were like, hey, do y'all know where the mayor's house is? Because we need to let these feral cats go. Sorry, Mayor. But anyway, Then we ran into.
We-
But I told him, I was like, no. I said, no, just take them somewhere way off into the woods. Please do not take them to the mayor's house. Please do not. Well, ran into animal control about 6 months to a year later, and animal control said, hey, y'all take those feral cats and y'all take them get spayed and neutered, and then we're going to come and put those cats back in y'all's neighborhood. I was like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. That is just so stupid to take these cats, get them spayed or neutered, and take them and put them back in the houses. And I said to myself, hey guys, I think I know where the mayor lives. So, Mayor, I apologize if you had any cats coming on your property or not. But what I'm trying to say is that my point being is that I didn't know anything about feral cats. My thing was to go and take them off. Don't want to kill them, but just get them out of there. And in a way, this kind of is like that problem. Because with the feral cats, I had to have somebody that knew something about cats, knew something about those animals to help stop the problem. Forest Lake doesn't have a problem anymore with feral cats. Thank you. I appreciate that as a city for doing that. Y'all took something and y'all went and got the people in there that knew about the problem. As council members, I don't know if you guys are out at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No.
To see what's happening on the strip. Our bar owners know what's happening on the strip. We have ideas of what we can do to help this problem. We're kind of y'all's experts in this. You know, and the thing is that we're not being able to talk with the city, not that we're not being able to, but we just haven't. I'm not saying it's the fault of y'all, I'm not saying it's our fault, but there are other alternatives out there that could be radical alternatives that we could see that y'all would say, oh, no, don't do that. But then we can show you places in Los Angeles, New York, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, other college towns where they've done other things that were radical ideas that didn't seem like, instead of doing something you think would kill the problem, like you said, insanity, just doing the same thing over and over again, doing something radically different. Some of these alternatives could include, I know this is going to get a backlash from you guys, not increasing our bar hours, but instead of our drinking hours, but increasing the bar hours that we're allowed to let people trickle out. Meaning, last call is at 1:30, 1:45. We don't close the bars at 2 o'clock. We're closing the bars at 2:30 or 2:30 or 2:45. Again, not serving alcohol whatsoever. But instead of slamming everybody out on the streets, we're allowing the patrons to trickle out into the streets. Okay. There's some other things that we can go into. Indiana has a PACE program. That's a program the state did. It's a program that helps with problem bars. Also working with the landlords as far as like doing a quiet enjoyment clause in all their leases. I can head up that part.
Mike, you're welcome, Michael, to send that to, say, the mayor's office, and anything you have like that, please send it, and we'll get a copy of that.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
That'd be the way to do it.
And thank you for that, John. And I will say I'm meeting with the legal department and chief police with an idea that I have. I'm just saying we have so many different alternatives we could do, and we'd like to have the opportunity to look at those alternatives before we do something that would severely affect us and severely affect this city. Thank you.
Okay. Vicki, can you put that slide up there,
Yes.
please?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
Can I
whatever
ask-
anybody wants
can
to
I
say.
ask a question
Sure.
of Michael and Tripp? When y'all have gotten together and talked as a group about what is good, bad, and different, was there ever a decision made about these closing hours that you guys feel like is acceptable? Are you making a recommendation to say we'd like to leave things the way they are? We'd like to adjust them a little bit? Or, I mean, what is the consensus on that?
Do you mind
I'm
if
curious.
do you mind if I go and answer?
Yes, you of course.
Okay,
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
We have an association that we started 2 years ago. We had an association meeting this past week. We asked them about saying, hey, can we kind of compromise in this thing? And everybody was saying, hey, we want to work with the city first and see if we can do the other alternatives. I did want to say this one thing. You guys implemented a towing program, and I think y'all did it about 2 weeks ago. Thank you as far as the landlord goes and as far as the bar owner goes, because I believe that's going to help a lot. We want to see if we can do these other alternatives and see if they start working instead of going to drastic measures that were going to hurt our pocketbook as well as yours.
When do you expect to give those type of recommendations to this committee where it would come to the council?
I am meeting with the chief on the 26th. I believe that we can set a meeting as far as the Hospitality Association, as far as probably within a week after that. So if push comes to shove, we can come back for the next committee. 1 month would be very helpful for us.
Mr. Chairman, I would hope we would get
I'm
something
fine with
resolved
that.
on all this before football season.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, it's just the only thing, and I'm not gonna say anything more than this. And just remember, see this slide up here? There's 70.3 total square miles in Tuscaloosa. And we're talking about the police presence in about 6 blocks total. So that's the issue right there to me, that our police resources, we're so short of police, and our police resources are really stretched. And I know what y'all are talking about here with money, and I appreciate that, but the folks in my district pay a whole lot of property tax, and I think the chief will tell you there's times that there's not any police officers out there, because they're all down here with y'all, and that's a fact.
And John, on the 26th, when I'm meeting with the chief and legal, I have an idea. I actually spoke with the mayor about this idea
Okay.
that I believe will help on the strip. There's
I'm
other
for it.
alternatives. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm for anything we can do, y'all.
Well, yeah, let me just voice my opinion, because I don't really agree with Mr. Fell on that. And that's cool, because I wish we were the council that always voted unanimous. But I mean, to me, having experience on the other side of the track, I don't see 1 hour, 2 hours changing anything significant for me. Because if it was my days in college or whatever, then guess what? I'm going to every neighborhood near you. And we're going to throw some good parties. We're going to park all over your grass. We're going to block your roads off. I'm just telling you. And so, you know, I know the chief and police department and everybody's stressing out about it. And I understand that. Don't get it twisted. I want public safety to be our top priority. But removing a couple of hours, an hour, I just don't see the significant. I don't see that being a big change factor to me. And I just, from experience, if it's not there, at least in the bars, they're all in one place. You know where the trouble or non-trouble, the overcrowded is going to be. But if you turn them out, I guarantee you can do the numbers on the schools at Shelton State, Stillman College, University of Alabama, plus kids who just working, same college age, going out on the weekends. They're going to somebody's neighborhood. If it's an apartment complex, if it's people in your district with pay the nice taxes, we coming to see you. They coming over there. And so we gotta,
No, you're not.
yeah, we coming over there. We're gonna party in your neighborhood. But I'm just saying, like, so we gotta consider that. That's just me. I think we trying hard to fight for public safety, but sometimes every idea ain't the best idea. And I just don't see that really making a real drastic change. We might.
So
need to
you feel like we just
like
need to keep doing what we're doing?
I mean, well,
I think we need to get rid of
we need to
the
do some
3 o'clock.
changes, but maybe it
Ideal.
need to be on the
Get rid of the
administration.
3
We need.
o'clock. 3 o'clock is, I would definitely just want to get rid of the 3 o'clock, for sure. That's, I know that's just a Friday, but 3 o'clock, I'm very,
Chief?
I just want to make one comment. Thank you so much. I know I've been portrayed in the media as war on bars. I don't have a war on existing bars. It's new bars. So technically I'm taking out your competition, I guess. But I'm probably going to say something that nobody expects me to say. Over the last couple of weeks, me and my command staff have looked a lot at this topic. And I'm going to be honest with you, we don't know what the answer is. We're experts in a lot of areas, but running bars isn't one of them. One thing I can say, and I don't know what the answer is our biggest problem is the let-out periods. It's when every bar closes at one time. If you look on the strip, I'm just going to focus on that.
Right.
You've got 3 mega bars that empty at one time plus side streets. That creates our most chaotic time during the night. Unless we're running around people trying to get them back to wherever they came from because they ain't going in an establishment. So I would just ask the consideration of looking at that, because when you let out every bar at the same time, it does cause problems. You're dumping, what, in the strip, 3,000 people, is that correct?
3,000 can be up to 3,700.
Up to 3,700 people at the same time. If bars didn't close at the same time, that we may see a trickle effect, and that's absolutely correct. I don't know what the right answer is here. That's y'all's decision, but.
For instance, y'all, don't get upset. If last call was at midnight, but they could stay open until 1. I'm just, for instance, they would trickle out. Something like whatever the hours.
Can we find a way to your point, Mr. Crowe, and to his point, the last person that got up?
Yeah.
To allow them and you all to work out some details concerning some staggered let out times, which we know that there is no.
You can't do that under Alabama law.
You can't do that under Alabama law.
It would have to be basically a closing time pushed further out, or no closing time, or however, y'all can work it. I just know, and I don't want to be, y'all know I shoot you straight, good, bad, or ugly. When we let out all the bars at the same time, it is an issue. Because it's not only happening on the strip, it's happening on other bars that fill up our gas stations. And we chase people around gas stations. I mean, literally, we go from one to the other, 5 gas stations nonstop. Y'all know that game. So it's the let out at one time is a problem. If we're going to look at new policies and procedures, I think we need to be completely honest of what some of the problem is, and one let out time is a problem. Like I said, I don't have the answers on that. That's why we chose y'all as our counsel and make those decisions. But I just want to give you the best information possible from a public safety standpoint.
Go ahead. Well, Mr. I was going to say that since January, I went and pulled what this council has accomplished. It's quite frankly a great deal when you look at trying to address the issue of policing bars instead of protecting neighborhoods. We've eliminated the dual occupancy loophole for restaurants who are morphing basically into mega bars. We've enacted a truth in advertising business license requirement that we can now hold someone accountable. We can't hold the ABC license accountable once we grant it, but it does give us more of ability to revoke a business license if someone is dishonest with the city council. We've enacted ordinances that give you the ability, if somebody wants to expand the use of their alcohol, they have to come back to the city council. The towing ordinance via decal, which was mentioned earlier, this council has enacted. And you've also given us a pause by putting in place the moratorium, which our team hopes to come back to you with some recommendations. It won't necessarily address the 39 bars and gastropubs, but the issue that we have is just the density of these, bars and these restaurants that basically morph into bars in concentrated areas. We've got 29 of the 39 basically on University Boulevard or just right off University. And so over the next, and this is not an immediate solution, but over the next decade, we've got to reduce that number through attrition.
Somehow.
And through zoning and get to, avoid that. What Chief Blankley said, him and I have had a lot of discussions about this. I don't think any of us from the administration can give you certainty that if you close at hour X, it's going to result in a Y positive result. But what I will say is that we appreciate the council just having this discussion. I think there's, this is what democracy is about. This is what good governance is about. And I think talking about these issues are smart, it's wise. And we need to continue to have these discussions.
Well, I think, Mayor, to your point, if we bringing this discussion probably got some of these folks to think about some ideas. I don't know that. They may have had these ideas already, but that's what we need to do. And I think you're right, 100%.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Is there a legal way to stagger these release times to Chief's point? Or, is there a way you could do it in a certain part of town?
I would ask if it could be done by special permit. So, for example, some of these bars in here, they don't care about, they're not late night bars, right? So, some of them are late night. Some of them are the places you go after everything. if you wanna be open from 2 to 3, can you pay us a special permit fee for that? Whereas if you don't pay it.
I've studied under Ennis, Nunley, Webb, and now Mr. Holmes.
You're still saying.
Yeah, and so that's where I have my law degree under those four. We dealt with this during COVID, because we were thinking about trying to something during the initial part of it. We would need some sort of enabling legislation from the state of Alabama to do something like that.
Well, how, to Chief's point, how do you do what you said? To limit that, I mean, can we? It sounds like we might not be able to do that legally.
Well, you can, but if you do that, basically, you cannot, I know y'all, you're not thinking I'm crazy, I know that.
If you look at
It's a bad time to be ruled as crazy.
Okay, well,
$2 million.
If you stagger that, you would have to set the closing time out later, and the bars would close naturally, with less patrons in it and that kind of stuff. And I know that's the last thing y'all probably thought you would hear from me, but our closing time is when we have all of our problems. And I'm not saying that's the right way to go, but I think it needs to have some thought behind it and maybe look at some different places that do it like that. I know we had the SEC list and there was closing times all over the place, but when we pump everybody in the streets at the same time at 2 o'clock, that's when we have all our issues. It takes us an hour and 20 minutes to clear it, and it's just, that's when it becomes very chaotic.
Chief, I know we're having a theoretical discussion, and I don't mean to hit you on the fly with this, but let's say for some reason we said, okay, there's no time limit. Your staffing, though, couldn't be built around that.
No, sir. It would be something that we would still leave between 2 and 3 o'clock, and that's the other thing, because we can't stay out there all night. I guess if you went to that model, and that's, like I said, not my decision, it'd be one of those things that we'd hope there'd be enough trickle, because I'm 40 years old. I know by 1:30 I'm leaving. Well, I don't really go to bars in Tuscaloosa, but if I did, no, sir. I only drink at one establishment, and people that know me know what that is. But it's very rare that I go out and drink, especially with headlines like "War on Bars." I'm afraid I'd be put in my drink. But no, I think it's just that trickle effect. People would leave on their own because they're getting tired, sleepy, ready to go. Like I said, I don't know if that's the right way to go. I'm just saying that if we're going to look at it, let's do a holistic approach and see places that do that. I'd be happy to take a road trip to any bar city that does that and go have a couple drinks and see how that works. But I just think that we got to look at our dump out period. And like I said,
alcohol on the city.
Yeah, nah. But it's not just on the strip. Our dump out period at some of the other establishments, at least our gas stations, man, we're sitting there chasing people around nonstop. And it's because they all close at one time. Everybody gets in their cars, and we're chasing from this gas station to this one, and we'll have shots fired at that point. It's because everybody's pumped in this one little time frame. So I just want to make sure I brought out that concern that as a possible problem and maybe a possible solution.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to apologize personally to many of y'all here, because I think that we could have done a better job, and I'm talking about me, because years ago we started a group of bar owners, you may remember, to help us, to help the city come up with solutions, and we were meeting regularly, and then all of a sudden you just hear this. We really should have come to y'all first. It's much like the University of Alabama did to us about the police. They didn't come to us first. We just heard about them. And I'm happy for their police officers, but they did us a disservice. This is my opinion. UA did us a terrible disservice. I think we did y'all a disservice as well. We should have discussed this, because all of a sudden the musicians, the security, the waitresses, everybody, I'm getting all these panicked emails, and it made me feel kind of bad, because all we talked about was the discussion. But then it became a vote. Then it became we were going to cut back to midnight. I mean, I heard midnight 10 times yesterday when I was out and about. But anyway, I do want to apologize. I think we could have done a better job communicating to you all before it was actually publicly announced.
Mr. Tyner, I think this is the coming to y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not only is there no vote, there's not even a proposed piece of legislation to vote on. This is the beginning of that process of going out and go, okay, what works and what doesn't work.
Well, many in this
But we
room,
don't,
many in this room don't feel that way.
I mean, I don't know, we can't meet with them away from here, it's not legal. I mean, as a group, we can't.
Well, anyway, I'll get, but we did establish a group, I know, Mayor, you remember, when doing the entertainment district and all that, that we would kind of call on them to be a part of the partnership and.
Well, I think,
John, I think I got a non-bar owner there that's
Yes,
got her
ma'am.
hand up.
Can I represent the non-bar
You can,
owners?
yes, ma'am.
Which one do you go to?
Oh, I go to bars, actually.
You've got 3 minutes, no offense, but we've got one more committee
I
and we don't have much time.
Thank you. I really appreciate y'all taking up this subject. I don't have the answer to this. I just wanted to kind of bring I'm Kelly Fitz, by the way. I've been dealing with this problem for 12 years, since I lived downtown. I do recall when a restaurant was built near the historic districts, and that restaurant morphed into a late night bar, which surprised all of us, and I think it, including surprised the city. So it's a long time historical situation that has been brewing. The other thing I recall is that COVID affected the bars, but I also recall the city bailed them out. The city put forth, as my recollection, a good bit of money to help the bars survive through COVID. I didn't hear that tonight. So when it comes to pocketbooks, you're talking about the pocketbook of the city and all the people that pay taxes. And those pocketbooks, in my opinion, are subsidizing the bars. And so there's got to be a way for the bars to pull their weight and not require more city resources than the city of Tuscaloosa can afford. I don't know how that's going to happen, but that's, to me, when you start talking about people's pocketbooks, that's when they get interested. And so now you've got the interest of the bar owners because you're about to hit them possibly in the pocketbook. I do believe there might be a resolution to this. I don't think the extending bar hours is the resolution. I'm not sure that cutting them to midnight is the resolution, but the resolution has to be agreed upon with the city, with the bar owners, and also with the residents that live nearby, because we feel it too. I cannot allow my children, and my children are grown, I won't go down to the Strip past, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So I've got a nice little grocery store down there that I don't necessarily feel safe going to after dark. That shouldn't be the way it is. And I know that I know that this was started essentially by some bad actors, but this is not new. We've been complaining about late night bars, people staggering around the neighborhoods, causing problems, causing vandalism, all that for years. And I sure would like to at least maybe this time get it right. Maybe this time come up with something innovative that helps solve the problem. But the innovation should not come on the backs of taxpayers who aren't going to these bars.
Thank you so
But
much.
I will say this, though, they are also very big taxpayers.
Well, all right, I appreciate that. We've got more to do. I appreciate all of y'all coming. I appreciate your comments, and you're welcome to that ideas you might have, send them to us, and we'll certainly look at it. Is anything else anybody'd like to bring before this committee? All right, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.